Bloodlife has been a long time coming. Been in development for about 11 years now. Started back in 2015 by Tony Abyss, aka Pio1. And it's finally come to fruition. Released this May, had a slight update recently, but it's a full-blown conversion mod for Hotline Miami 1. It's standalone, has about 14 levels to it, and it has stuff like achievements and more. There are choosable masks, everything else. From a scope perspective, it's impressive. I gotta give hats off to Pio for handling this. Not only for finishing the mod, but also for bringing it in this roundabout way. Getting everything completed. Having it become this full experience. You can play it start to finish without issues. There's a consistent narrative. There are cutscenes. There's a unique aesthetic to it. It does take on this 2000s vibe with the way the cutscene borders are done, with the score screen, with the combo list. It's meant to resemble Windows Movie Maker and AOL Messenger and other programs, or even the Notepad tutorials of the 2000s on YouTube. The soundtrack also leans into that. 009 sound system is used for the score screen, and the music is more of the traditional Hotline Miami stuff, so Carpenter Brute and other such artists. They fit well, though, and the songs are satisfying to listen to, especially in the heat of the moment, when guns are blazing and everything. And if you don't like them, you can either easily replace them with mods, or you can crank down the volume and just play strictly with the audio in the back. And on that note, I do like the audio for it. Gun sound effects are real punchy and sharp, same with the hit sounds. This doesn't make the mistakes of Hotline Miami 2, in that this is heavily focused on gunplay, but melee is still viable. Executions are still fast. You can do them quickly, effectively, and it also kind of brings back that sort of mechanic from Hotline Miami 2, where executing an enemy will heal you, so to speak. In Hotline Miami 2, it basically brought your character back to his default state, so you could survive another bullet after that if you had taken a bullet. Here you do have a health counter, one that's animated, along with other indicators, like accuracy for guns, how much ammo you have, and so on. Honestly, there's a lot to like about it, on the surface at least. In theory, describing all of this should be a great mod, an easy recommendation. I, again, want to shout out the scope of it, and I want to shout out Pio for finishing it, because after that long in the tank, it's tempting to just give up. But he didn't, and he's pivoting this toward independent development. Current thing is Heat Division, a sprite-based speedrunning game. As I said, this all comes with a but. It is very half-baked. This mod was definitely rushed for release. It's unfulfilling and unsatisfying. It kind of just takes stuff and dumps it. It doesn't really go further with the concepts it approaches. It's unfulfilling, like I said, and I'll go into detail about why. The big problem I noticed is that the game doesn't take advantage of the features it brings up. Like, there's a level that has a sniping segment where you're backed up by another character who has a sniper rifle. Hitting the control button allows you to snipe enemies, and the sniper moves with you. It's a neat idea, and it helps you get up some good shots when you're out of ammo looking for another gun. The problem is, this covers only half of one floor of that level, and it only happens in that level. So this is a feature that is introduced, never brought up again, and barely used. There's a section where you're in a chase with police cars and you have to fight them off, which is really beautifully done. It looks great, but it plays awfully. It's way too easy to die in it. There are checkpoints in it, but the way it handles accuracy and the durability of the cop cars means you'll die a lot playing this. And feels incomplete because there are times cutscenes will play, and the cop cars will still shoot you during it. So you can die during cutscenes, and granted this will bring you back to a checkpoint, but it's really sloppy. It feels like it wasn't tested at all. You'd think that when a cutscene would start, the shooting would stop, or the game would pause, but it just keeps going during these segments. There are boss fights, and they're okay. They usually involve finding some sort of weakness or some sort of point where a character is vulnerable before attacking them. They got kind of frustrating quickly, though I like the creativity put into them. There's a boss rush section of one of the levels where you're in this fighting pit. You're going up against these freak show kind of enemies, like this clown with claws or this robot. Yeah, there's a robot in this. We're going to talk about the odd story implications of everything. And the whole ways you defeat some bosses don't really make sense, or at least it's hard to follow a train of logic behind how you defeat them. Like in the first game when you fought Biker, he was vulnerable when he threw his cleaver at you because he didn't have a weapon on hand. And you had to take advantage of that when he was trying to pry it off the wall. For the van driver, you had to hold out until you killed all of his guys and you ran out of Molotovs. And then he would be vulnerable to you executing him. And for the producer, you had to shoot him enough with a shotgun to break through his bulletproof vest before executing him. Here, there isn't really much of a pattern to follow. You'll start out bashing an enemy at a certain angle, and that'll be the way to defeat them. But then they'll switch over to different tactics, and it won't really explain why this enemy is vulnerable when reloading, instead of just all the time like before. On to other mechanics. I think one issue is that there are two playable characters, Ben and Eric, and their abilities are not made equal. They only have a handful of them, and Eric's are handy because they're straightforward. You get a gun and a mask, and the gun abilities vary. So the 9mm handgun has more rounds in it, straightforward, accurate. Desert Eagle has less rounds, but pierces enemies. You have a few automatics. They work well, and they allow you to approach levels differently. However, the other character has melee-based abilities, and they are definitely a mixed bag. There are 4 total. One that gives you the ability to slide and tackle enemies, one that gives you a chainsaw that you can throw and use to hack people up, one that gives you drunken vision and unreliable movement while also making your punches kill enemies, and one that lets you teleport a certain distance, but it partially obscures your vision and prevents you from looking further, and also you can't teleport through walls. The latter 2 abilities are basically nerfs. The first 2 are the only viable ones. And it's like, if you're only going to give someone 4 abilities, why not make them good? Why waste 2 on jokes? I didn't go back to those abilities after beating levels with them, because it felt like a waste. It wasn't fun to play with them. It's not like these were good jokes. It's not like the reversed movement of the bat mask from the first game. Then we get to the story, which is all over the place. It feels like an afterthought, honestly. The game mentions in the credits that no AI was used to make this, but if you told me that an AI generated this story, I would believe it. It starts out with our protagonist getting recruited into a gang, Technocide, to fight another gang, Paralysis. As for what these gangs stand for, what their motives are, so on and so forth, that isn't really followed up on. You don't get a reason for their rivalry, you don't get much of anything. Our character is regaining memories that were lost through different notes found everywhere, and there's seemingly a connection with him and the other characters, along with strange moments of assets from the first game popping up and seemingly game code leaking through. This does lead to a cool level around the final act, where it feels like the game is breaking apart. You're fighting through the no-talk level, and then you're going deeper into this broken Game Maker studio-inspired environment, where it looks like the level is under construction, and they're just tiles haphazardly placed everywhere. That was cool, and I thought it was going to follow up more on that, but the game doesn't. It just kind of drops that idea. It isn't until the very end of the story that you actually see more of that in action. The ending twist kind of justifies things, but it also feels like a hallucination, so to speak. It turns out the main character is an AI in a video game. It was taken from someone who was killed working for Technoside. He was placed inside of a simulation to get data on performing killings. The ending demonstrates this by having his bullets be ineffective, and by having him placed in a cell and reprogrammed to be more cooperative. I mean, it's there, it's a story. It's not a good one, but if you really wanted a story, there it is. Hotline Miami 1 kind of had fun with its story, poking fun at the need for excessive storytelling, but it still worked within its setting. The whole framing device was Jacket's mental stability, or lack thereof, and the fact that he was technically in a coma for a lot of the game, so his visions of what he saw were hampered. The point Denton were making was that you don't necessarily need an in-depth story for a game to be fun, or to enjoy a game. And if you really, really wanted a story, you could dig deeper into it, and you can get this completely nonsensical plot about a Russo-American coalition. Now granted, the second game did explain that, but in the first game you didn't really get much insight as to what it meant, why the Russian Mafia was prominent in Miami, and so on. Here, it's just kind of thrown together as a cheap twist. There are moments when the characters will learn things about their parentage, about their siblings, everything else, and it's strange. It comes up, it's dropped. There are moments that I guess shouldn't tie into the simulation, things that our protagonists shouldn't see that we still see, which shouldn't matter if it's a simulation. Not to mention the fact that the 2000s setting is kind of wasted here. Outside of the score screen and the cutscene borders, it isn't used. If you told me this was set on the moon, I would believe it. It doesn't make much of a difference. Like, it's not like how the first game leaned into the neon setting, the tropical environments of Miami in 1989. It did well with that. The second game used grungier textures but still had some vibrancy to show the end of the 80s, the beginning of the 90s. This, it just kind of feels like a generic setting. It's supposed to be in Uruguay, but it doesn't really do anything to set that apart. Nothing really about unique culture of that time or that place. It's just there. And I think that ties back to the fact that this feels like it was rushed to promote Heat Division. It doesn't feel like a mod made out of passion. It feels like it was made to promote Heat Division, the upcoming project by Pio. I'm saying this because that's a prominent feature on the main menu, complete with custom animations and everything. There's no brightness slider in the menu, but there is a link to wishlist the game. There are other features that are lacking, but there's a link to the Discord. The intro makes sure to spell out how you access the creator's website. It's all about pushing that product, that next product. You want people to know about it.
You always want to sell that product. That next product you have coming out is very important.
And hey, I mean, I can't fault him. That's smart thinking. People might not care about a speedrunning game, but if you tie it into a long-awaited Hotline Miami mod, there's something. In a way, I gotta give him credit. That's a really good marketing strategy, albeit one that is kind of skeezy, but it's a shame it came at the cost of Bloodlife. It's just a mess at the end of the day. It has so much potential. When I describe it on paper, it sounds like it should be great, but it's not. It's not the most ambitious mod for Hotline Miami. I think that title still goes to Make Me Real, because I feel like that wanted to achieve its own vision. That wasn't made just to promote some other game that's unrelated. And it's just a shame that so much of this was rushed, because I think maybe with 6 months under the hood, some more time to cook, maybe have more of those features be realized, more moments of the sniping option, maybe change out those last two abilities for something better so you aren't just nerfing yourself by using them. or leaning more into the 2000s culture, that era, because otherwise it's just kind of superficial. Would I recommend mixtape? No. I'm mixing things up now, but I can't blame myself here. Would I recommend Bloodlife? Not really. If you liked the first and second game, I can't say you're gonna have a great time with this. If you loved them, then yeah, Bloodlife's worth a shot. If you just thought those games were okay or good, then no. Or if you're into top-down shooters, also no. It just... they didn't care at the end of the day. This was made out of obligation. This was made for a cross-promotion. This was not made out of passion or zeal for the games. I wanted to like it. It has good concepts going for it. It has great potential, but doesn't capitalize on that. It was just churned out to promote some other product, and because of that, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. On top of it just not being fully fleshed out. If it was a good mod with a cross-promotion, I wouldn't have any issues. I think it's just the principle of the matter. I feel also I should specify, because of issues with fandom creators and drama going after people, that is not an excuse to go after Tony Abyss or Pio. I didn't like this mod. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. That doesn't mean he's a bad game creator. That just means I don't recommend Bloodlife. That's it. That's all there is to it. Do not go after him. Do not cause problems for him, please. It's not worth it. This is just me saying I played the game because people wanted me to. I didn't like it. I tried it, and there are good aspects to it. I like some of the additions to it. I like the health system, being able to move through glass. I like more streamlined combat, so bullets always insta-kill. There are good things going for this. It just, there aren't enough fully fleshed out features for that to work. So, what do you think? Have you played Bloodlife? Am I totally wrong here? Is the mod a masterpiece and I'm missing out on something? Or do you also have mixed feelings on it? Do you think that Heat Division's gonna be good? Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you all for watching. Take care.